Hey guys, Dan here. It's Dan Does Disney. Tim is over Zoom today. Hello, Tim.
Hi, everybody.
And we're going to be talking today about the 1961 film, The Parent Trap, one of the biggies. We had some video issues with our last movie, Absent Minded Professor, so hopefully that is resolved and we can go full out on this one. One of the big classics, Tim.
Yeah. And
And had you seen this one?
I've never seen this one. I did see the 1998 Parent Trap remake with Lindsay Lohan.
Okay, I imagine that's pretty good.
Yeah. Did you ever see that one?
I did not actually. I saw Freaky Friday, but I did not see Parent Trap.
Yeah, that was her first movie.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. She was like 7 or something in it, very young.
I don't know if she
Uh, well, all right. She was 9 or 10 or something. She was younger than Hayley Mills, though, I think.
I think maybe about the same age, I think. Probably.
I
Maybe
don't
maybe
know.
maybe a little bit younger.
Because, well, at least the character in this movie is 14. And Parent Trap was like easily 7 years before Mean Girls. So I think she was like 10.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, though. We'll go over that in 3 years.
Yeah.
But this one is the original Parent Trap, the Hayley Mills classic. We already met her in Pollyanna. And so this was released. This was their big summer movie, June 21st, 61. And this was the highest grossing of all the Disneys that year. It beat Absent Minded Professor just by a little bit. That was number 5 of the year. 101 Dalmatians was number 8. This one was number 4. Worldwide, it made 25 million at the box office. And it was re-released in 1968 and scored another 2 million there. And this one has a very slim history on home video. So I think I do have a copy of this, but I couldn't find it, so I just watched it on Disney Plus. But it came out in 1986 on Laserdisc, and then not again until 2002 on VHS and DVD. That's one of the rare instances, I feel like, where Disney didn't at least put like a VHS out or something.
Yeah.
Which explains why it's very surprising, and it explains why I don't really remember ever watching it. Because I didn't find any evidence that they re-released it to theaters in the 80s, but I guess it ran all the time on Disney Channel, because we'll talk about the sequels there in a little bit. But so then in 2005, it came out on DVD again with one of the sequels, Parent Trap 2, from 86. And then in 2018, they did the Disney Movie Club exclusive with no extras. So I didn't go for that one. But we'll talk a little bit in the making of. There is one of the DVD bonus extras I was able to find on YouTube. I'll put a link to it in the video. That was very interesting. It basically described how they did all the split screen stuff.
Okay.
So that was pretty cool. So yeah, it's based on a book. Tim will tell us more about that. It was nominated for 2 Academy Awards, one for sound and the other for film editing. West Side Story won both of those, which is probably well deserved. And so yeah, this was a novel first in 1949. In March of 1960, they announced Hayley Mills would star in this movie directed by David Swift. And at the time it was called His and Hers. But I looked it up. There was another movie in 1961 called His and Hers. So maybe there was some issue keeping that name or something for Disney. So Mills had been on that 5-year contract with Pollyanna being the first of the movies. So this became the second one. Maureen O'Hara, who plays her mother, signed on in June. I knew her as a kid from Miracle on 34th Street. But other than that and this movie, I don't really know her for much, but I know she's like a very famous actress. Have you seen any of her like old movies?
I have not. I have some information on here. She was in 3 Best Picture nomination movies.
Oh.
34th Street was nominated for Best Picture. The Quiet Man was also nominated for Best Picture. They didn't win, but she was also in How Green Was My Valley, which I've heard of.
Yes, I've heard of that as well.
Yeah.
But okay, so she had some contract issues with Walt. She wanted to up her price. They wanted to pay her $75,000. She said no, thank you. or I'm sorry, they wanted to pay her a third of that. That was her normal movie fee, was 75 grand. He wanted to pay her 25 grand. She said no. And then also she had in her contract that she would be top billed, which she is not. So she never worked with Disney again. But to me, that seems like a stupid fight because it's not her movie at all.
Yeah, I mean, I did read that she held out and got her normal fee, and then in her contract it was supposed to be she was top billing, and that's what they were going to do. But then they gave it to Hayley Mills instead, which makes sense. But
yeah.
Those days, like even still today, like when you have like a relatively new actress that like they're like, oh, introducing Hayley Mills or something like that. I mean, but this isn't her first movie, so it doesn't really make sense to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And you're right. A lot of times still today they will do that, especially if it is a kid actor, they'll sort of put the introducing credit or something. But yeah, I mean, Pollyanna was such a huge hit, obviously, and she plays dual roles here, so it just kind of silly. But yeah, she did get her fee at least that she wanted. So they switched the name of this movie a few times. First it was His and Hers, and then We Belong Together, and then finally The Parent Trap. So they shot at this old YMCA camp for the camp scenes, and then at the house they filmed in this other place near Pebble Beach and Golden Oak Ranch. But the house never existed. Apparently this is one of the most requested like sightseeing tours or Hollywood. Here's Hollywood houses, but the house never existed. The interior was just a completely different house, which is pretty common. And so this is the first movie with the Sherman Brothers providing the music. They won an Oscar, actually two. I think they won for score and for music for Mary Poppins. And they did one song in The Shaggy Dog. So I don't remember or Absent-Minded Professor, rather. I don't remember if we actually talked about that or not, but they wrote like the fight song.
Okay.
In there. But yeah, but this was their first one where they wrote like the whole score and all the music. There's a few different songs in this. Let's Get Together by Annette Funicello is playing on a record player at the dance at camp. But the main version that went to the pop charts is the Hayley Mills version where she sings with herself. That became a top 10 hit. And then Annette Funicello did, though, sing the main title song that we see over the credits with Tommy Sands because they were there shooting Babes in Toyland anyway. And this intro is sort of the new norm as we get into the 60s, because Shaggy Dog definitely had this kind of intro. Absent-Minded Professor, I believe, did as well, although that had like a scene first before the credits. But right, didn't it also have that sort of like, I don't know if it's claymation or what it is, construction paper?
I don't think they had that. I think they just had like a song, maybe.
Okay, Shaggy Dog definitely did though. Yeah. So I guess this is maybe becoming the norm for the Disney live action ones. We'll see, I guess, over the next few. But so originally there was only going to be a few trick plays with doing the double Hayley Mills, and the bulk of the movie was going to be with a body double, who was this woman. Let me see, Susan Henning played the body double. So once Walt saw some of the dailies, he was like, "Oh, well, no, this actually works a lot better than I thought it would. Like, let's just do the whole thing with both the girls." And they did obviously use this Susan Henning a lot to, when they're doing over the shoulder shots or what have you. And she actually was interviewed in this bonus feature that's on YouTube. But they talked about, she actually became pretty famous after this, by the way. She was Miss Teen USA in 1965. She did an Elvis Presley movie around that same time. But what they used was an optical printer, which they blacked out half of the shot and then, matched it up. And you could see, I don't know if you were looking for this, Tim, but I was certainly looking for sort of the cut zone. Like, one point there's a bedpost, where you can tell, okay, well, that's where they've cut the screen. Sometimes it's like a door frame. Were you looking for that at all?
I did notice the bedpost, but for the most part, I thought it all looked pretty well.
Yeah, like I was actually looking for stuff, and really, most of it is pretty seamless. One of the things they talked about in the DVD extra, though, was sometimes it wasn't even like a straight cut down the middle. They would like, if there was like a picture frame in the corner, they would like frame it around the picture and then go down from there. So they had different ways of cutting, and it also explains times where like there's two Hayley Mills and one will run out of the scene or something like right after they do the song.
Yeah.
Let's Stay Together, and then the other one sort of follows her out of the room. So they showed how they would basically move the one frame as they were adding the other one. It was very interesting.
Yeah, like when that scene happened, I was like, okay, obviously they can't both leave at the same time because of this. Like,
right. But this was the impetus for the Patty Duke show. You ever heard of that?
I've heard of it.
So this is a 60s show, and it was on Nick at Night when I was growing up. So my parents kind of taught me, hey, look for the cuts. But that was black and white and on television, so I'm sure it was a lot easier. But that was the same concept, and if this movie didn't exist, there's no way that show could have, because they did the same thing basically for an entire, like, I think it ran 4 years or something. They were cousins in that one, identical cousins. But anyway, so the legacy of the movie, as always, there's the 4-color strip comic book, 1961. By the way, I read yesterday, because I was looking up some 60s cartoon show that they also did a 4-color strip on. 1962 was the last 4-color comic they ever did. So we're coming up on the end now of those.
Okay.
So I don't know if anybody picked up the torch of that or not, but anyway, we talked sort of about the sequels. So there was Parent Trap 2 in 86, Parent Trap 3 in 89, and also Parent Trap Hawaiian Honeymoon in 89, 2 the same year. And I don't know the plots of the other ones, but Parent Trap 2, basically, Hayley Mills returned as the mother this time, and she had a daughter, and her best friend, I guess they looked enough alike that they were able to foil the I don't know if it hinged on them thinking it was the same girl or if they just tried to get them together, but anyway, it's kind of cool that she came back for that, and obviously a lot of love for the role. And it's one of the first original Disney movies. I think it was like number 6 or something in the lineup.
Oh, okay. I do think that Hayley Mills was also in Parent Trap 3 and Hawaiian Honeymoon, but I think she was playing a different character.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. I figured maybe it would go along the same lines, but yeah, I didn't really look too much into it.
Or maybe she was the same character, but it wasn't focused on her, because I did kind of look it up. I think the Parent Trap 3 had like triplets instead of like twins.
Oh, and that would make sense with the 3. Well, and by then, by 89, she would have been doing Miss Bliss or something, right? Or maybe not.
Yeah. So maybe it was just like a cameo, but I think she was in all of them.
Okay. Well, she was not in the Lohan version. I know that. But there was one person that was. I'm sure you're going to tell us about that. I think it was Joanna Barnes, but and apparently there's another one coming for Disney Plus, because they can never leave well enough alone. So now we're recycling things that are still also pretty recent.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, anyway, so that's the basic background of this movie. Tim's going to tell us about the plot, and then we're going to talk about it.
Okay. So we have the Parent Trap here. It's based on the 1949 German book that translates, I'm not going to say the German name, but it translates to Lottie and Lisa. So that's what it's based on. And we have Hayley Mills. She plays identical twin sisters, Sharon and Susan, who have been raised separately by their single parents and never knew the other existed. However, as fate might have it, they attend the same summer camp, and after a rocky start, they become friends and discover that they're actually sisters, and quickly contrive a plan to switch places to meet the parent they never knew and to reunite them. Will the Parent Trap plan work when a young rival love interest stands in the way? And that is the plot of the Parent Trap.
I bet it does work because it's a Disney movie.
Probably. So cast, like Dan said, Hayley Mills is here. She plays the dual role of Susan Evers, and Sharon McKendrick are the two characters she plays. We last saw her in Pollyanna, as Dan said. we'll see her again in a couple of movies. The next one is in 62, which is In Search of Castaways.
I believe it was one every summer she did for those 5 years.
Yeah. I think she might have done maybe 6 total. I think maybe she did Pollyanna and then signed like a 5-movie deal or something like that.
Oh, okay. So maybe 6.
Because when I was looking this up, it said this is the first of her 5-movie deal. So maybe she just, yeah. Or okay. So Dan already mentioned Maureen O'Hara. She plays, I believe it is Sharon's mom, Maggie McKendrick. Like Dan said, this is the only Disney role that she did because of the billing issue. She is an honorary Academy Award winner for international film Baghdad, and she's only the second woman or second person maybe to get the honorary Academy Award after not being nominated for Academy Award. And then
Myrna Loy, by the way, is the other one.
Okay. And then we have Brian Keith. He plays the father of Susan. His character is Mitch Evers. We saw him once before in The 10 Who Dared. He played a trapper in that, and we didn't really like his character. And then we'll see him again. He's in Moon Pilot in 62 as well. And Maureen O'Hara and Brian Keith, they worked together 2 more times. Once in a movie called Rare Breed in 66 with Hayley Mills' older sister, Juliette Mills.
All right.
A couple other characters we have Charles Ruggers. He plays Charles McKendrick, the grandfather. He'll show up again in Son of Flubber. I liked his character. It was a fun character, but from my experience of watching the Lohan one, I felt like the grandfather had more of a role in that one than this one. It feels like he just kind of disappeared halfway through the movie.
Yeah, I not even seen the Lohan version. Yeah, I thought his character was kind of bizarre. Like he just didn't even really need to be there.
Yeah. We have Una Merkel. She plays Verbena, which is like the housekeeper, I guess, for Brian Keith's character. She's a Academy Award winning actress for Best Supporting Actress for a 62 movie, Summer and Smoke, which I guess is the following year after this. She was also in Maltese Falcon, and we'll see her again in Summer Magic in 63, which is another Disney movie. And then Joanna Barnes, she plays the rival love interest for Mitch's character. She plays the character of Vicki Robinson. She was in Spartacus a couple years before this, and then like Dan said, she reprises her role. It's not even a cameo. She reprises her role in the 1998 Parent Trap. She plays the same character, Vicki, who's now the mother of the gold-seeking love interest in that one.
So wait. I just read she was in it. I didn't know she played the same character. So are you saying that The Parent Trap 98 is technically a sequel and not a reboot?
Well, they have different last names, but it's the same. What I read, they think it's the same character. It's the same character of Vicki, and I guess she has a different last name. But now
that could be married last name.
It could be a married last name, yeah. And now she has a gold digging daughter who's going after the father. I believe is that Dennis Quaid in that one. Yeah. I believe. Mm-hmm. So, in this one, she's the gold digger, and she has a mom that's there. And then in the 98 one, she's the mother who has a gold digging daughter.
That is intriguing. Okay.
From what I read, they think it's the same character. It has the same first name of Vicki. So I don't.
Yeah, probably is then. Okay, interesting.
So, I mean, why put her in there as a Vicki character if it's not the same character?
Right.
And I think that's the only two Disney movies that she does. She does Parent Trap and Parent Trap. And that's the cast I wrote down. Most of the other stuff I have here. you talked about. I did read that Brian Keith did, when he did a couple of his pratfalls, he fell so hard that he cracked a rib. So that was commitment for him. Susan Hennings, I did read that Hayley Mills once tapped her on the shoulder thinking it was her daughter and told her to come with her, and she went with her, and then she realized it wasn't her daughter. So
did you read about the Elvis connection too? So she did the Elvis movie, but Hayley Mills sent Elvis a fan letter and he rejected it. He like never wrote back or anything. So she was determined to always respond to everybody's fan mail up until her death. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, because she was a big Elvis fan and she was jealous that Suzanne Hennings then went to be in the movie Live a Little, Love a Little. What was it? I think it was 65 as well, the same year that she won teen pageant. So she was jealous of Suzanne Hennings, who was her body double. She also had to wear like a little foam nose or something like that to make it a little bit more look like her. So like even in the scenes where obviously it was a body double because they were like kind of like fighting with each other and holding each other in a way that they obviously wasn't like trick camera work, I thought she looked pretty close to her.
Yeah, I did too. I thought the effects, I guess you would call them, but the effects work with the body double stuff, obviously the camera effects too, but yeah, even the stuff down to how they were shooting her from behind, and they would just have the wig on her. But yeah, I mean, obviously they chose somebody with the exact same body frame as Hayley Mills. I mean, it looked very, very clear. And you're right, like sometimes they're being actual like physical with each other, like at camp when they're having that fight, like, but yeah, you would just never be able to tell if you didn't know.
I mean, if Hayley Mills' own mother got him confused, then obviously they did.
Right.
I'm surprised that this didn't also get nominated for best effects like Absent Minded Professor did.
Yeah, I mean, the effects, and we talked about this obviously at length last time, the effects in Absent Minded Professor were great. There's no doubt about that, but there's usually 5 nominees, so I don't know how you don't throw this one into the mix as well.
Yeah.
Pretty revolutionary.
Yeah. And I wrote down that this was the only non-Best Picture Oscar nominee to also be nominated for Best Editing. So I guess that's a claim for itself. Like,
I think I read that too. I think that's just for this particular year, though. I don't think that's ever.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So like, obviously they liked it enough that it was like, oh, we're not going to nominate for Best Picture, but it's the only one that year that was nominated for Best Editing that wasn't nominated for Best Picture, which speaks for how good the editing was.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I wrote down that there's a 1945 movie called Twice Blessed by MGM Studios that the movie has a very nearly identical plot. So
really? Okay, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, so this is based off a 1949 German book, though, but there's a 45 movie that has a similar plot. So maybe the German person that wrote this book saw that movie and
yeah, it could be.
But maybe not. Maybe they just had similar ideas.
Did you see all the Bollywood and the Indian remakes? There's like apparently 4 or 5 like in this all throughout the 60s and 70s. They kept making this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, and basically that there's another remake out there, but it's with the Olsen twins, but it's not called The Parent Trap, and it's called
was that It Takes Two?
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking that one, they're not sisters, they're just identical people that look alike and then hook up their parents, like, and they switch places. It's the same movie except for they're not sisters.
That's the same movie. I am lucky that I am old enough. I bypassed all of that. Also, well, and of course I didn't have any sisters. You have a sister. But all that Olsen family crap, I was able to I know some of the names of it. I know New York Minute is one of the ones, but yeah, I'm glad I missed that whole thing.
That was one of their more famous ones. I think that one actually went into theaters where they had a lot of direct-to-video ones, because that one think had Christy Alley and Steve Guttenberg as the parents. So
all right, that must be why I know it then, because right, maybe it went to theaters.
Yeah. So in my mind, that's just basically the Parent Trap.
Yeah, it sounds like it. All right. Well, so listen, let's talk about this movie. It was real good. I don't think it quite needed to be 2 hours and 5 minutes. I think it got a little bit long in the tooth once they went on the camping trip. I know they wanted to do more gags and stuff. But I think they could have shut that down a little bit. I'm not sure that we needed all the songs as well, but certainly Let's Stay Together was good.
Yeah, I think that was probably some of their best camera work, I feel like, of editing wise, because it was a whole song number. So I think that was probably the best they did for the camera work. So I can't really edit that out, and the song's catchy enough. But I do agree that it's 2 hours and 9 minutes and doesn't need to be 2 hours and 9 minutes. So they could cut some things out here and there. I can't really think of exactly where I would cut, but they could cut some stuff out. Probably, you know what I would cut out is the long march
the camp,
the solitude cabin. They didn't need that whole thing there. But the only other complaints I have really is I did like the opening number of The Parent Trap and the animation they did. But if they're going to go to that length of doing this animation, I was confused about why they had the two characters of the sisters have different color hair for the animation, but not in the movie. Like that.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
I picked up on it right away. I'm like, why do these two girls have different color hair? Because obviously they can't swap if they have different color hair unless they die. And probably the only other complaint I had was I feel Hayley Mills did a great job playing two characters. I just think that they basically had the same accent, dialect for the most part. Maybe there was some slightness to their differences, where in the Lindsay Lohan movie, I'm going to compare it to that one. One of them had a British accent, so it was so much easier to
okay.
So I thought they did a better job of that one in the Lohan one, where this one of them had like a California accent and one of them had a Boston accent, and I didn't really see them having that much of a difference in accents and dialects.
No, I agree. It was a little bit confusing. I mean, really the main way you could tell is who was in the house with them. You know, if it was the father scene, you know, okay, well, that's the one. And if it's with the Maureen O'Hara, you know, it's the other one, or like, you know, whoever the help is, the maid or whatever. But yeah, I mean, other than really the one part where she says father instead of father there, you know, and then the dad picks up on there. Yeah, there wasn't really, I mean, a Boston accent is pretty specific. They could have coached her a little bit maybe on that.
Yeah.
Or put her somewhere else, put her in New York, or, you know, New York's accent's pretty specific too, I guess, depending on where. But yeah, I agree. I didn't really get that sense. You know, even, you know, to bring up Friends, even Phoebe and Ursula, they speak kind of the same, but like, Ursula's a little more even ditzier, I guess. So it's like you can kind of tell from that. But yeah, I mean, look, the girl was very young. So God bless. I agree. She did a great job with the dual roles, but maybe could have, you know, been coached a little more into differentiating them.
But I feel like she already has a slight English accent that she used in Pollyanna. Like, have it be England and not Boston, and then just focus a little bit more on her American accent, and I think it would have been fine.
Yeah, that's true. I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess we're getting into too many plot specifics here with why. I mean, they probably aren't going to care about this, but I guess maybe back in the 60s, did you have people from England going to the same camp as somebody from the US? Maybe not. So maybe they didn't want to do that, but yeah, I don't know. They could have done something with it. But Let's Stay Together. So that song, even though I've never seen this movie in full, I've seen that clip probably 50 times, because my friends, when I was in middle school or maybe early high school had one of the like best of Disney songs VHS tapes, and that clip was on there, and they would watch it over and over again. So it's actually, it was probably my least favorite part of the movie, just because I was like, I've seen this so much. So I was really laser focused on the editing and stuff, and I still couldn't really tell any cracks in there. But yeah, very, very well done all the way around with the editing and the directing for sure. Kind of adult too for such a kids movie, dealing with, you know, divorce and stuff that certainly was not talked about on television in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, and it got a little racy there with the parents, like
having the sex talk.
Well, the sex talk, and she's walking around in the robe, obviously doesn't have anything on underneath it, and then like he finds the bra and like those type of things. But that led to a lot of humor. I really enjoyed the Reverend character. I thought he was of how he was saying comments about like she's a great woman. I don't know how he let her get away, to like the love interest who's now like the fiance. I thought that was some funny interactions with the Reverend.
Yeah, I would say some of the adult parts, you're right, led to some of the funnier stuff. I mean, like obviously, I guess the go-to comedy for this is sort of the gags with the switching off, or like when they're in the water and they're, you know, double stacked. And I guess that stuff's the more plays to the kids kind of thing. But yeah, I think more so than Shaggy Dog and Absent-Minded Professor, you know, which are obviously a little more steeped in fantasy. You know, this obviously it's a little bit of a fantasy with the twin angle, but yeah, I think making it sort of more quote unquote realistic, I guess, helped it, I think, set it apart from some of those other ones. This is like a nice mix, I felt, between like a real serious one like 10 Who Dared, or you know, what was the one with the Leprechauns? That was all fantasy too. Like Third Man on the Mountain. Like this is a nice go between some of the fantasy ones and the heavier dramatic ones.
Yeah, and you did mention that one scene where they're stacked on top of each other in the water. I feel like that's the only shot that doesn't hold up in this movie. The shot of
with
her
the fish going by.
Yeah, I bet in 60 it looked great, but now that's the only one that I felt didn't hold up when everything else did hold up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So let's grade this thing, I guess. So I think this is going to be one of those that I'm going to grade on a little bit of a historical curve, because I think that the effects here are just ingenious. They did so many cool things. I think, you know, story wise and everything else, it is a little bit long. So I think it would be more in like a B or maybe a B plus camp, but I'm actually going to give this one an A minus. I think it holds up really, really well.
Yeah, I'm on the same page as you. Probably for me, just because I did see the Lohan version prior to this, so I knew the story. It's the same story, so I knew where it was going for the most part. I knew some of the jokes that they were going to do because they did most of the same jokes as well. So for entertainment value, it's probably somewhere in that B plus range if you've never seen the previous one, or the later remake version, the newer one. But for the technical achievements that it did and that it ushered into the world of cinema, A- all the way.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to deny it. It really does still hold up incredibly well. Like even looking for, you know, I mean, you guys watching this video, if you haven't seen it, check it out on Disney Plus, and just when she's on screen, just look for these different kind of mechanisms that they use, the picture frame here, the door frame there. It's really just hard to spot any cracks in there.
Yeah, and for the technology they used, it's amazing, because if you also want to go on Disney Plus and look at the 1981, they do have an extra for that one of how they did the magic of making it to the two people, but they had so much computer effects that they could use. I mean, in 98, it's not amazing, but they made it look amazing with what they could do, of having cameras track the motion of what they were doing. and then just have the camera do autopilot again and have her do the same scene twice. But they couldn't do that. They just had to be like, okay, you're here and you're here, and we're just going to cut it here and frame it here.
Yeah, it looks so great. And Ub Iwerks is the main guy who did all that stuff. Ub, I think I've mentioned him several times on here, but he dates back to Disney in terms of like creating Mickey Mouse with him, and he did a lot of those shorts that were sort of groundbreaking in the 30s. So he had been with Disney for a long, long time, always doing some innovative stuff.
Yeah.
But all right, well, I guess that's it. We looked up, what is it? Nikki is the next one.
Nikki, Wild Dog of the North is next, which is not on. Last time I checked, I'll check again. And then after that is Greyfire's Bobby, which is on Disney Plus.
And then following that will be our last 61, Babes in Toyland, which is another fairly famous one. I don't know much about it, but I know it's a holiday classic.
Well, we also talked about it many times because Tommy Kirk's in it, and Kevin McCorcoran is in it. Okay. You mentioned last time that for Absent Minded Professor that was the first Tommy Kirk movie without Kevin McCorcoran. And I was like, no, there had to be another one. I think you're right. I kind of went back and was like, no, he was in all of them with them. It was just that.
It's kind of weird.
Kevin Corcoran was in other movies without Tom Kirk. That's what I was getting confused about.
Okay, yeah, because we saw Toby Tyler and I think maybe one other one.
Pollyanna. He was in Pollyanna with.
Oh, that's right. He play the neighbor boy or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Pollyanna was kind of long too, wasn't it? All these Hayley Mills ones seem to be longer than most other ones.
Yeah. Well, I think Swiss Family Robinson was kind of long as well. I think they're all a little bit over 2 hours. And I don't know.
Yeah. Now they're getting into maybe the real long ones. Although I know this Nikki Dog of the North is like 75 minutes, so that's a short one. But yeah, I'll see if we have that on DVD, we'll do that. If not, I know it's streaming on Amazon Prime, but the other two for 61 are on Disney Plus. So if you guys at home are following along with us, you can check those out. And that'll do it. Thanks so much for joining, Tim.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
We'll see everybody next time. Bye.